Look at it. Look at it. We're doing it live. It's the first Friday. Merely Bo, the great Z. What are you doing? You can't have that. You on? You on? You got a mic? You got a hot mic?
I am on.
There you go.
I don't know if they turned. This was on. Didn't touch anything, so I don't know if that was.
Look at it out there.
Oh,
busy
my goodness.
watching you
Red
try
raspberry.
to plug stuff in. You've only
You know
been
what? I'm
sitting there for
testing you.
35
I'm
minutes,
testing you. There,
but you can take my water bottle.
there was
and
a
hide
scene.
it,
I don't
you
remember the
bully.
name of the movie, and it pains me that I don't. But there was a scene where sometimes you have to test people. It was a movie about like they were decoding something.
Okay.
Halle Berry.
Oh,
Swordfish.
What was that?
who could forget?
They're testing. Sometimes you have to perform under difficult circumstances.
We were talking about how I let the boy watch Under Siege last week. Swordfish also has.
Oh, I know. But that was part of the.
I understand, but if you were to say what is the plot of Swordfish, I would have said, well,
No
Halle
idea.
Berry, but I don't know. I don't remember what happened in the movie.
They're hacking something.
Can't help you with
I believe
anything
they're
beyond
hacking
that.
Something.
She's on a short list of greatest things to ever come out of this region. Halle Berry, Cleveland girl, right? I believe I have that
Cleveland
right.
girl,
Yeah,
East Sider.
bringing it. Always interesting when I would watch Boomerang, which was one of my. I watched a ton when I was like middle school, high school age. The Eddie Murphy one with him and Robin Givens. Like the idea that they tried to make Halle Berry like the homely one,
The girl next door.
who was like average. Like
Yeah.
Halle Berry was the average one.
Yeah, Robin Givens didn't have good feet, right? That was
No,
his problem
she
with
did. Her feet were incredible.
He had problems with somebody's feet.
Layla Roshan is also in that, and he had
Layla
problems.
Roshan.
He had problem with her feet. But no. But Halle was like the plain one.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Dude, it's also like
Robin Givens was throwing heat, but still.
Made in Manhattan and Jennifer Lopez
Yeah.
is
What are we doing?
is the homely maid that we're going to rescue.
What are we doing?
J-Lo.
Yeah, it's J-Lo. Come on. She had a good run. Had a very good run. How are you? You well?
I'm good. Nothing that we can share here, but got good news, yesterday. So it's exciting. I'm excited about that.
What an unbelievable thing to do. We're in the middle of free agency.
What the hell is that?
We're knee deep in the muck on several fronts.
Yesterday,
And
you were not in a good place.
You got great news, but
Yeah.
nothing that can be shared here.
Yeah, that's right.
What a cryptic thing.
I know. Isn't that fun?
What, is there a paywall I can go behind to get this information?
Maybe you have a guy who knows.
Maybe I got a
talk
guy.
to a guy.
Talk to a
and
guy.
He says.
Maybe I can.
Maybe you can do that.
Jeez.
I don't know. You know what I'm talking about.
I do. Yeah, I'm aware. We'll see in time. In time, everybody wins. Just wins for everybody. One never-ending boulevard of green light wins.
Where's G-Man? G-Man? Can we get G-Man to comment
too
on
much
the fact
winning?
there's too much winning?
Too much winning.
We can't
He
take
can't
it.
do it.
We
Can't
can't
do
take it.
So he's cutting up. He's
What's
doing
he up to?
live cuts.
Oh,
so he's on a delay. So he's currently listening right now.
Oh, now he's getting it.
now
Yeah,
he's-
yeah. He's doing the live cuts. Always got to be careful.
You
with
could
the
cut
live
that
cuts.
one and be like, heard some great
Here's
news.
some great news.
Can't tell you what it is, though.
Someday.
Someday it'll be revealed.
It'll be something else. New league
There will
year-
be a party on this show the day that it is revealed. How about that?
I don't have a problem with that.
Me neither.
I don't have a problem with that. We'll do it on a
Might
first
even
Friday.
have a few fangus.
All dubs there. All dubs there,
Get a
buddy.
little loose on this
Get
program.
loose. Let it live.
Maybe that'll be on a Thursday prior to a Victory Friday
I
show.
like that. I like that thinking. Nothing better than a Thursday going into a Victory Friday.
By the way, I don't know about you guys, but there's a part of me that thinks the first Victory Friday should be this Friday, as it's going to be 70 degrees.
This is one of those Fridays
that
when you see it, I can't let
Can't
this
do
one
it.
go. I got to take full advantage of this one.
So Gibbe, Bo, and I will not be in on Friday.
Look at this. What's he doing? Who are you texting with?
Yeah, what are you doing?
I mean,
Gibbe?
I'm just going to tell you that could be a very big day in this building on Friday, and you will be here.
Is that cryptic, Gibbe? What do you
We're
know?
so cryptic
What
today
do
to
you
start
know?
the show.
What do you
There's a
mean,
lot of
why
cryptic.
could Friday be such a big day, Gibbe?
What could be happening?
Just saying,
Oh, baby.
there's a chance you will be here no matter what you think or want to do at this point.
There's a chance, though. I heard chance.
There's a chance
There's a
that
chance
you will
that you will
be
be
here.
No matter what. But that started with there's a chance.
That you'll be here, which means that
There's a chance that we won't.
Sure.
That's the way I read that. How
There's
else
no
would you
other way
interpret
to read it.
How else
It's
would you
exactly what
interpret
was said.
it? This was
I mean, that is
I heard it. Witness.
next level's next.
Next level's next. It's a little deceiving out there.
I want it to be warmer than it is. I had to do some walking outside earlier today, and I was like, it's got to be warm.
We are
not
warm. So conditioned around here that gray equals cold, that when sun comes out and it's in these months, we just assume it's 60.
Yes.
So this happened last night. Beamsy had lacrosse practice, and he goes out there, and he's in a T-shirt and shorts. I said, Bud, it's cold. He's like, the sun's out. And I'm like, I'm telling you, it's going to get cold. So he's kind of in a little bit of a defiant stage. And so I'm like, you need to wear a long sleeve underneath that. Probably wear some tights, too. No, doesn't do any of it. He knows better than me. So I go to pick him up at 7:30 as the sun is set, and it is now probably about 44 degrees and windy. My guy's an ice cube.
Of course he is.
I go, dude.
He's shivering.
I'm like, dude, that's the last one of those you get.
Hoodied, and by the way,
It's
that
a
is
warm
a warm
hoodie.
You're
it's
warm
warm.
hoodied
Wool.
and vested.
Yeah,
You look
vested.
fantastic.
Well, I don't know about that, but it is. It's what's required.
It's what's required.
For what's out there right now. Tomorrow's going to start to heat up, and then we're on, right? Is the weekend good, or does it suck?
A lot of moisture in the air
look.
on Saturday and Sunday.
Don't look.
Oh, no. Really?
Don't look.
Like storms on Saturday.
Hey,
Don't say that, because I'm hoping to chase the small ball on Saturday. We're hoping
I'll
to
send you a
navigate
picture
the
from my
clouds.
small ball.
oh, my
It'll be
gosh.
great.
It's 75 and nothing Friday.
Correct.
Here, I got a deal for you, Gibby.
You have to work.
No.
I'm just
I have
throwing it out there.
I got an
You're
idea.
going to
I
have
got
to
an
work.
idea for you.
There's a thing called paid time off.
Here, wait, I have an idea for you.
I know you take it.
No,
You've
no,
already
no.
had 2 baby moons.
Gibby, you've had 65
had 2
vacations
baby
already.
moons.
Hold on. Hold on for a second. I'm an idea man. I thrive on enthusiasm. We'll do a show Saturday in exchange for Friday off.
What the hell is? We're not on Saturday.
Shows
That
are
means
shows.
G-Man and J-Mac have to come in and work.
No.
This is what I think. Right
That's
now,
the way to do it.
right now, this is what we know.
2 shows Thursday.
This is what we know.
Stack them.
Thank you. So on Thursday,
You aren't doing. There's no way you're doing 4 hours of CBD.
I
Can
do
you
3 hours in the morning.
I know, but then you're going to do. So you're doing 7 hours.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
I'll do
G-Man.
7 hours straight.
G-Man,
Okay.
G-Man, will you slide in
I would
so I
do it
can
for
see
the
you?
Friday off. I would.
Just slide so I can see you. Just so that I can see you. Okay. This is the plan. Can you hear me? Can you hear?
I can hear you. That doesn't mean anything.
Here's the plan. We know right
writing it
now.
down. I'm
What
writing
we
it
know
down.
right now. We know. Look at this. We know Ken Pickett.
You're not even on camera, you idiot.
This is so. Yes, he is. I can see him.
I am on camera.
Move over a little
right
bit
there.
more.
Do you?
You're looking here.
This.
I have eyes in
this
the back
perch-
of my head.
This perch
You
that he's
also
in
know
right
how to
now,
use a
it's
microphone.
everything.
I think
ever
I'm using
wanted.
a microphone
So
very
good.
effectively, actually.
I-
So we
Hear
know.
about that.
Can I communicate with the third member of this team? Thank you.
Be my
The alliance.
Be my guest.
Thank
Nate.
you. I didn't hear that.
All right, go.
We know
What's your
Ken
plan?
Pickett.
Yep.
We know Cornelius. We know Devin Bush. I propose. By the way, Kenny Pickett, did you know this? 7 game-winning drives out of his 15 wins.
Clutch. I do remember that because anytime we. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail.
I would like the radio calls of all 7 of those game-winning drives, and then Cornelius highlights, Devin Bush highlights, and I'll intro, outro. Bo can go. Friday show.
And scene.
There you go.
Yeah, just did it. There you go.
How are we going to – what better way to show love
Can you imagine if
and
he-
to welcome people
Welcome
and
our
welcome them
guys.
back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Than that.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. It's going to be a heck of a Friday. That's
Completely
enough.
forgot about our new linebacker.
No, he didn't.
That's fine.
You got not
He didn't
new
say
Devin.
Tryon.
He had Devin in.
Oh, no. Tryon.
Oh, and the Tryon too.
4 of them.
4 of them. That's even more
easier.
content.
Allegedly, because it's not final till
By the
4
way,
o'clock.
it's
allegedly.
It's Tryon Shoyinka.
Reportedly.
Shoyinka.
Shoyinka Gibbe.
Tryon Shoyinka. Good job.
Shoyinka.
Very good job. New league year starts today at 4.
I think it's a good plan.
I love your plan. I would
Let's say,
also
like,
be
we
willing to
welcome
do.
you in.
I would also be willing to do my plan and just do 4 hours straight.
I would as well.
I would do
I'll
that.
also say there is a world that exists in which, as because it was a DTR Pickett trade, that we just play that Victory Friday, which exists.
That one does
was
great.
also a Jim Donovan tribute edition, which is always fitting.
Yeah, which is also
J-Mac was like,
J-Mac knows that. Yeah, that's
He's
actually
like-
a pretty good idea. Maybe we should do that.
J-Mac just gave me the Alonzo Mourning, the one where he's on the bench. He's like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's a good idea.
That was Bootsy meeting chomps. That's everything that you need.
It's everything.
It's all there.
What do you say, Gibby?
Well, I mean, look at him. He can't wait to be
I
there.
stopped listening like 3 minutes ago.
He's on Snapchat.
Don't you want to live on this 70-degree Friday?
I think he's out, isn't he? He's not here
I
anyway.
have a flight at 5:15.
I'm gone.
I'm on the air. I'm here till 3 o'clock. I'm coming here. I'm doing CBD till 3 o'clock, and then I'm leaving for the airport.
I thought you were leaving Thursday.
Maybe you're not
No,
doing it till
I'm
3
leaving
o'clock.
Friday afternoon.
Maybe you could get an earlier flight. Get
No.
down there a little earlier. Get that nice
could
day
go on
down
a
there.
Thursday.
J-Mac's
now?
not even here on
Thursday.
Friday.
Who's not here?
Jordan's not here on Friday either.
So then,
What are we doing if Dr. J's not here?
Dr. J's not here. This is the Fab Five.
Nah, that'll be a work day for you. That's fine.
What do we? Can we? I want to lean into him.
Excuse me.
Oh, but you don't seem well.
I don't want to be contagious
Well,
on Friday.
I'm not giving him mouth to mouth. I can assure you of that.
Didn't ask for it.
I'd do it in a second.
Same. For you,
Gross.
G-Man too.
I did notice that you didn't seem to your normal spirits. There's not the normal glow in you. You just seem like maybe a little run down.
Yeah, a little
run down.
I feel like
Do you think he's bootsy?
I feel like a little bit of butter spread over too much
You think
bread.
he's NBC? Why don't you give me a little cough while we're at it?
I did. Are you not paying attention? I'm giving you everything. Oh man, clammy hands.
I'm busy.
Why
too busy blowing you off?
Was Bueller and his sister, were they twins? Was that the deal? Or are we to believe she was older? No, because he's a senior.
He's a senior.
He's done. So so then they had to be twins.
She was at school.
Because she got the car and he got the computer.
Yes, they are twins.
So
yes.
they would have had to have been twins. There's
Jennifer
no way she's
Grey.
Jennifer Grey.
Jennifer Grey.
There's no way that she was meant to be younger and got the car and he got the computer. You all right?
Are you talking
And we actually had a great little bit
to
there
me?
that you could no.
Oh.
I heard you
We
being
were just
so loud.
shenanigans in there
Why you turn around
distracting
looking at
the
me?
professionals.
The girl
Is-
looking
you
for
guys
the
were
camera.
so loud back there with whatever tomfoolery was going on.
I think I know what they're laughing at because I almost
bet
laughed
you
at it.
did.
I almost laughed at it as well, but I had more decorum.
All right, new league year officially 4 o'clock. Reportedly re-signed Devin Bush, 1 year, 3.25.
Love that.
I like that.
He
one
played
a lot.
very well.
He did.
He played very well last year.
Former Browns corner Mike Ford has agreed to a 2-year, $4 million contract with the Falcons, so you have that as well. The NFL made the 2025 compensatory draft picks official. The Browns will have 2 in the upcoming draft, a 6 and a 7. The Ravens, Cowboys, Dolphins, Niners lead the way with 4 comp picks. And we're just waiting on Rodgers. It's kind of the next bit of big league news that feels like has to drop, and then that'll kind of
Apparently
settle
they're
everything
saying
out.
they're saying in Pittsburgh that Aaron Rodgers is holding the organization hostage right now.
that he's holding the Pittsburgh organization
that's right.
hostage.
Yeah, with
what?
waiting to make his decision. It's basically like they won't do anything until they know what's going on with
He's
him.
their top choice.
Yeah.
Well, it's either that or it's Russ. So then you got to go to Russ and say, "Hey, man,
Let's ride.
let's ride, baby."
No, I don't think they're going to say that. I think
Where would they go if not?
Jackson Dart.
Well, yeah, but you still need. They don't even have a quarterback room. You got to bring another guy in. You got to bring a vet in.
Gardner Minshew.
Minshew mania.
Carson
Start the year.
Wentz. Joe Flacco.
Jeez, but you do that after
Another
acquiring.
stop in the AFC North.
Yeah. What are we gonna do?
I don't know. Gee, Mr. Spicoli, I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm going to write that on my board for all my pupils to enjoy. I don't know. I you know what I want?
Yeah.
I want a quarterback at 2 or 1. I'd like
Yeah,
to go up to
either
1
way,
and
yeah.
go either way. But I think you've got to. It's some of the discourse out here is amazing, and the cherry picking of, for example, yesterday Louis Riddick was on Dan Patrick's show, and he goes,
Yeah.
"Sure, Sanders is absolutely a top half of the first round prospect, without question." And then to me, if that's the case, if it
What are we
doesn't
doing?
matter if it's 2, it really doesn't matter.
Doesn't make a bit of difference. No.
If you have conviction, you have conviction, and you take the quarterback. But that's what I want to do. I want to get a quarterback, and if we feel in this building that it's a 1 quarterback draft, go to get the number 1. Now, could run into the problem that Tennessee says, well, we're in on that same quarterback, so no, we're not trading with you. Which, by the way, is the problem that you face when you're like,
Always.
oh, well, we'll just handle it in 2026. You never know.
No, you can't.
You never know.
No, there is no handling it down the road. You can't plan for that. And you don't know how the quarterbacks are going to be viewed. You said here a year ago at this time, and you would have said you're drafting a quarterback in the 2025 draft. You're choosing between Shedeur Sanders and Quinn Ewers and Carson Beck. I mean, there was nobody who thought this year's class would be anything other than sterling.
Yep.
It was going to be back-to-back great classes. It was going to be Ewers, Beck, Shedeur, Beck and Ewers at the top.
Yep.
And then Shedeur potentially the second, third, depending on how it was going to look. Most people thought it'd be Carson Beck.
Yeah.
Was going to be the number one pick in this
the
draft.
number one pick in the draft.
Yeah. And
he's back to school.
He's at the University of Miami. He got hurt. Ewers had a really tough year where he became kind of a check-down Charlie. Yeah.
It feels like.
And Shedeur is the one constant who's still there.
Yep.
But to your point, and something you and I talk about all the time, you can do that. You can play that game all you want, but anybody who's sitting at one who needs a quarterback is either taking them because, quite honestly, they're in that position because they don't have one,
yep,
or they're the Chicago Bears, and they have to make a decision on trading their guy for a incredible amount of assets like they did with the Bryce Young trade, where they had Fields. They, at that point, still liked him. It'll take a lion's ransom to come up, and they did, and that ended up costing Carolina the number one pick in 2 years ago's draft. So it's just not something that's doable.
No,
at the top.
No, and it's the other thing is I like having my first round picks again. If you're talking about going in the future years of making a big jump up to get this quarterback, guess what? You're going on another multi-year program without a first round pick again. You have opportunity. You're right there. You're right there.
Yep. Yeah, you are.
If you think that you can trade down and still get the quarterback at 2, and do that, by all means, do it. But if you do that and it doesn't work out, and that was your plan all along, not great.
No, not.
I kind of feel like, again, this is me. I kind of feel like quarterback at 2 or 1, or I'm trading out and hoping that I can get something for. I'm not trading out for no reason. I'm not trading out to get like nothing. But the only way that this pick leads to a direct swing or another attempt is you're going to have a lot of assets in your back pocket. And I don't believe that. And I know Abdul Carter is awesome, best player in this draft, highest graded player in the draft. We're not doing anything unless, again, what's the goal? I guess that's the other thing. What's the stated goal? Is the stated goal to get to middle class? By the way, agreed. Way more fun than last year. Then, okay, you draft that, you get a veteran, and you scrape it together. You're never going to win in the National Football League consistently because of your ability to only play defense. You have to score. This is a scoring league.
Yeah.
The end. Full stop. So give me a quarterback, get that quarterback weapons. And by the way, if you don't think that your quarterback is that elite, and I'll remind you that prior to Saquon Barkley ever being a Philadelphia Eagle, Jalen Hurts was third in the MVP voting 2 years ago.
Yes,
prior
he
to their
was.
Super Bowl winning season.
Yes, he was.
But they still surrounded him with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley. So if you're saying this guy isn't the traditional, drop back, we're going to throw it, we can throw it when they know we're going to throw it, all of that, you surround them with an elite supporting cast of weapons. Now, they also happen to draft incredibly well. They were loaded on the lines, both of them. They did a tremendous job, that organization, and they spent similarly to how we spent, where they kicked a lot of things down the line, a lot of restructured contracts, so that they could spend the most cash to actually have the best team. Now, the only difference is they've done it, and they've been successful because they've got the quarterback. We did it. We have not been successful because we don't have the quarterback.
Mm-hmm. It's just that simple. Yeah.
It's just that simple. To me, the notion that we're just going to keep going without addressing the quarterback, which is what I feel like a lot of people want to do,
I think that there is
wild to me.
I think one thing that is real with a faction of the fan base is a fear of missing on a quarterback because they associate some type of embellished embarrassment on missing on a quarterback more than missing on a defensive end. Well, I understand that. right? I mean, everybody's seen the jersey. Everybody knows that. I mean, it's part of the history. You got to own it. It's part of who you are. But the reality is that the penalty for that is not what it used to be.
Agreed.
If you do miss on it. And again, that's a big if. If you do miss on it, the penalty's not what it used to be. And missing on a defensive end or a corner or anything else is just as punitive. It just doesn't have the shine on it.
Yep. For example, the first pick in this regime was Jed Wills.
Yes. Yeah.
Who, as of now, unless I've missed it, has not even signed with a team. Is that still correct?
I haven't seen it anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not even talked about, and that's a top 10 miss.
Mm-hmm.
Blake Hance has already signed with somebody. I just saw someone across it. Blake Hance, former Browns offensive lineman, signed with the Titans, and Jed Wills has not. So it's different when it's a quarterback, and people are like, oh, Zach Wilson. But guess what? Like, these guys move around. It happens, and teams move on. The New England Patriots drafted Mac Jones in the first round. They moved off him quickly, and now they have Drake May.
Yes, quickly. I mean, it was 2 years. I mean, that's it. That's what it is now. I mean, look, think of Zach Wilson, Drake May, Josh Rosen. I mean, there's a ton of those guys. Darnold.
The Jets would have fully believed that once they got Aaron Rodgers, that was going to fix their issue, but they did not.
No, they didn't.
No, that's the more surprising part.
Yeah. That's the thing that you're always chasing, though, is that. And so you got to figure out what that's going to be.
Yeah.
We certainly expect that there will be another veteran added to this room over the next week or so, I would think. I don't think you're going to have just Kenny Pickett and that's it. So another veteran will be added there in terms of the guys who are available still. We have not been at all linked or mentioned at all with Rodgers or Wilson. I know Mary Kay on yesterday, she thought we should maybe look into Russell Wilson. I haven't seen that anywhere else. She's locked in, but I didn't know if that was her opinion or what she's hearing. I couldn't tell which
Me
that
neither.
was.
No.
If that's what she was hearing or that was her
I think that was
opinion.
about Russ, her opinion.
Yeah, opinion. Okay.
Yeah.
So then if that's not it, then you're now that's now Flacco, Wentz, Mariota, Minshew. Those are the guys who are out there.
Yeah, which is not an exciting. It's
Joe
not
would be
an
exciting
group.
because of what happened here previously, and there's
The magic.
Yeah, the magic of it. The magic.
Carson
of it.
Wentz has actually played fairly well. He just, obviously in Washington, we were there. That was those fans were so sick of him. He had the chance in Indy to take them to the playoffs. Actually played well that year. If you remember, though, they lost, I want to say week 8, the last final week of the season in Jacksonville.
I remember that, yeah.
In a game that they shouldn't have lost. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence wasn't even playing in that game, but they lost a game in Jacksonville that they should not have lost that year. And maybe it was the Urban Meyer year.
After Urban had been
Was
fired.
that 21?
That seems like it, right?
I think Wentz was the quarterback in 21 there. That feels right to me. 21 or 22. But they lost at the end of the season in Jacksonville in a game they shouldn't have lost and didn't make the playoffs. But he played pretty well that season. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, that's Indy. That was his 1 year in Indy. He was 9-8 that year. You have a good memory. No shock. 62%, 35-63, 27 touchdowns, 7 picks.
Yeah.
That was that year in Indy. And then he went to Washington after that. That's where he had that burgundy suit, remember, he wore to the presser. So he went to Washington after it for 1 year, got 7 starts that year, was 2-5 as a starter.
One was against us. It was terrible.
Terrible, Kenny. But they that was a pretty bad situation roster-wise, Washington at that time. And then it's been back up in Rams for the Rams 2 years ago. He was just played one game, started one game, 17-24, 70%, 163, 2 touchdowns and a pick, playing a similar system that we do.
Yep.
With the Rams, and then Kansas City last year, just the one start.
The one start you can throw out. That was the final week of the season,
they
and they played nobody. And I think he handed it off. They were down 30-0 in the first quarter. Denver played all starters. Kansas City played literally nobody, and I don't even think they attempted to. I'm not sure they had a first down in the first.
No, it was like just 3 runs and punt. Three
yes.
Yeah. They I would not have had that he is 32 years old.
No.
But he came into the league late. He was 24
he came
upon draft.
in 16.
Yeah.
Because that was the Goff draft, which goes back to the whole point again. That was a draft where the Browns were all in on Jared Goff. Tennessee had the first pick. Browns had the second pick. Rams jump them. Yada, yada. Here we are.
Bill. Great Bill. Look at that gait.
Look at that stride.
Striding out.
Determined.
He does seem a little determined.
Focused. Looks like he sees a
Ooh,
oh, man.
I knew it. Yeah, friendly.
Oh, God. He gave him a karate chop. It was
That was unbelievable. If you could have seen that, Give no one would have loved that. You and G-Man would have loved that. It was
great.
He was
Bill
walking
was
with a purpose, and
Bill
I'm
was
like,
excited.
when that happens, I duck out of the way.
But then you could see him smile, and we didn't know who he was smiling. And then he gave him like a little karate chop,
and it was Jay revealed.
Jay.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
Hey, congratulations to the Cavs. They beat the Nets last night. They clinched the Central. They've won 15 in a row. Second time this season. They've had 15 straight wins consecutively. There's also a 12-game winning streak in there. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy how good they are. No Mitchell last night. Garland had 18 points in the fourth, which matched what the Nets scored as an operation.
I mean this in the nicest way, but just get me to the playoffs. This is
I know.
a playoff team. This is a team that the question is going to be, can they win 2 7-game series in a row? And those 7-game series that I'm alluding to are, can they beat the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals?
Yeah.
And then can they beat whomever comes out of the West?
Lakers or OKC.
This is a team. If they're not, and I don't believe that they are, even the favorites to come out of the East right now, which
they're not. Boston's
nuts.
the favorite to win the championship and the favorite out of the East.
I think Cavs are the best team in basketball.
Well, they've proven that they are. And the other thing about it is like that Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals is going to be here. I like those chances.
I like the sound of that.
And Donovan is fearless against Boston.
Doesn't fear him.
Ready to roll. So, yeah.
Hunter
it's
was
exciting.
I don't even know if there's a football analogy for it, because in basketball, one player can affect so much things more than in football. But he was the perfect acquisition for their roster and for their opponents.
It
for
was
for the Celtics.
Yeah. And also a incredible job of organization of accumulating assets. There came a chance to go swing big, and they knocked it out of the park.
Why would Atlanta let him go? They're a playoff. I don't understand their thought process on that.
Oh, you're going with Hunter. I was doing the
Hunter.
Donovan Mitchell part of it. But, yes, all of those things are.
No, but Hunter's one of the greatest mid-season acquisitions.
Yeah.
Ever. It's literally perfect for our team
Perfect
and
what they
perfect for
need.
the team that you want to beat.
Nailed it, brother. Absolutely nailed it. All right, coming up next, Daniel Oifusi going to join us, covers the Browns at ESPN NFL Nation. We'll have this roster-building conversation with him coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Howard Handy's official real estate provider of your Cleveland Browns, exclusive buyer agent there to help you navigate the field, save time and money, and score the winning touchdown. A new home. Win big with the leader in real estate. Visit howardhanna.com/GoBrowns today. We head out on the Twisted Tea hotline, presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. Here's Daniel Oyefusi joining us now there. Covers the Browns, of course, at ESPN. Daniel, thank you so much for taking the time. Welcome to the program. We are about 2.5 hours from the start of the league year officially. The quarterback market went fast and furious early. The acquisition of Kenny Pickett is there. What are you hearing on the Browns in regard to quarterback in addition to that?
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me. I think Andrew Berry said it. He laid it out pretty frankly at his end of season news conference. The quarterback room was going to look very different in 2025. Now, I don't think anybody really expected the first quarterback move they made to be, trading for Kenny Pickett. But this isn't the only move that they're going to make. They're still kind of scouring and perusing, what's kind of left of the market. I didn't expect the Browns to be in on any of the higher priced free agents, certainly not a Sam Darnold. I know Andrew Berry said that their cash and cap situation wasn't going to be prohibitive to making moves. But this is a team that has multiple needs, several needs across the board. I think that you're also kind of looking at some, obviously the Kirk Cousins situation kind of looms over all this. With him having a bonus due, I believe, or some guaranteed money due in a couple of days. The Falcons have said that they're going to keep him, or they have no problems keeping him. But obviously, that's a big price tag. So if you're the Browns, especially at the quarterback position, and knowing you have to address other needs, you're looking at value. And I think that Kirk Cousins, given the familiarity with Kevin Stefanski, the fact that you're probably going to get him on close to a minimum contract, if not a minimum contract. If you're looking at value, that's something I definitely have my eyes out for in the next couple of days.
When you look at that position, obviously you're talking about some of the free agents. Where do you think this team falls on the draft for the quarterback? We've heard so much talk about quarterback at 2. We certainly would love to get a quarterback at 2, or even trading up to 1 for whomever they think is top quarterback in this draft if they feel it's necessary. What do you kind of make of where this all is going to fit in, and what this quarterback room ultimately will look like when this team gets together for the OTAs here in a few months?
Yeah, well, the thing about picking at 2 is that the Browns are going to have their pick of one of the top 2 options in this draft, that being either Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders. Now, at the Combine, Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski spoke very highly of both those players. They said that they had very good meetings with both of them at the Combine, and obviously with Shadur at the East-West Shrine Bowl a couple months back. But this, like a lot of people have said, this is a draft class where the top options don't really match up with maybe some of the top options last year when you're talking about Caleb Williams and Drake May and Jaden Daniels. So the question is, you're going to have the option of one of those guys at 2, but do you feel comfortable? And that's kind of what I was trying to ask Kevin Stefanski at the Combine. What do you need to know to pick a guy at 2? If you pick him at 2, that's obviously the franchise quarterback. That's your guy. So obviously, they're not only scouting those guys, but all the other quarterbacks. There's going to be some options on day 2, and we're still a ways away from that decision for sure.
Is your sense though that in terms of this room, and Andrew Berry talked about it, and you referenced it, how it's going to look very different? Is kind of the way when you talk to folks around the league, that the second veteran added would feel like that's the guy that would start the year, or do you think Kenny Pickett was brought in here to compete?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that Kenny Pickett was. He's going to get an option. He's going to get an opportunity to compete, and at worst, be the backup. I don't think that this was their. This obviously wasn't like their number one move. I don't see this as a number one move. I do think that they're looking to bring in somebody else. Another veteran quarterback with starting experience. And I would think that the second guy that they would bring in would probably lean more to a guy that they'd feel more comfortable with starting. Obviously Kenny Pickett does have that experience, but at this point of his career, he's really more of a backup option. So again, I think this is just a part of remodeling that quarterback room. And, as it stands, he's the only healthy quarterback on the roster in 2025, but I definitely don't see it as like this is the guy that we've brought in to definitely compete for the starting spot. I think that, again, they're looking for another starting option that they'd feel a little more comfortable putting out there in week one.
Daniel, who at that point, who is that?
That's the question that you,
right? I mean, like
else in Northeast Ohio wants to know. I woke up and I tweeted the options that are available. And I don't think that Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson doesn't look like that's going to be an option for the Browns right now. It seems like they're kind of more focused on the Giants and maybe going back to the Steelers. You got Carson Wentz, you got Joe Flacco. There's really just not a lot of options. And, it was slim pickings to begin with. And after 2 days, it really dried up. So, again, Kirk Cousins at this point is somebody that situation I'm definitely monitoring, because at this point it's just about value. Like, can you get somebody with starting experience, at a pretty cheap price and maybe get a value pick? Because, there weren't a lot of great options to begin with, and, it's been drying up quickly.
Are you surprised by some of the contracts some of these guys got? I mean, I'm talking about Darnold. I'm talking about Fields. Those two especially jump out. Even Daniel Jones. I mean, $17 million in incentives. Fields, $30 million guaranteed. You could add all those guys for next to nothing in the last couple of years. Are you surprised that the market was as robust as it was and the compensation was as rich as it was?
I'm not, because they're quarterbacks, and no matter what we say about teams not wanting to spend and whatnot, like, this is what happens on the first couple of days of free agency. The cap goes up. First couple of days in negotiation period, teams throw out a lot of money, and that's just how it goes. Especially when you're talking about starting caliber, starting level quarterbacks. All those guys got kind of different level contracts. Darnold was more kind of like the Baker Mayfield contract from a couple of years back. Fields, looked like he got $20 million a year. Daniel Jones 1 year, $14 million, something like that. So they're all kind of different level tiers. But again, when you have starting caliber quarterbacks on the market, and teams that have dire needs for that, that's what happens.
Daniel, when you look at this Browns roster, obviously all of the focus on quarterback. You did get Myles Garrett back. You can throw your reaction to that in here. But my question is, what are the biggest needs that remain, and where do you expect this team to, what positions need to be attacked and or addressed?
Yeah, I mean, I would say outside of quarterback, really the skill positions. Obviously Nick Chubb is a free agent. Elijah Moore is a free agent. You got to get some guys. Obviously, you need somebody to hand the ball off and throw the football, but you need some guys who can do some work with the ball in their hands as well. And again, this is a free agent class that hasn't really it's looked at as a weaker free agent class. We've already seen some guys come off the board, but it seems like they are going to kind of scour the running back market. They're going to have to bring in another wide receiver to pair with Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman. I think this offseason is really about revamping this offense as best as you can. So you not only need to get a quarterback in, but somebody or a couple guys who can are dynamic and can make some plays with the ball in their hands.
You mentioned Nick Chubb, and I'd say every day that it goes where he hasn't signed somewhere else is hopefully a day closer to him coming back to the Cleveland Browns. Have you heard anything on that front, and what's going on there?
No, it's fairly quiet. Like Andrew Berry said, he's going to get an opportunity to test the market. We haven't seen a ton of running back movement. I think Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, Ken Gainwell come to mind. Those guys have signed. But yeah, I mean, with Nick, I expect it to be maybe something that draws out a couple of days where he looks at his options, and then the Browns stay in communication, see if they can work something out. But yeah, still quiet right now. Obviously, especially on the Browns front, with only signing 2 guys so far, and bringing back Devin Bush.
All right, Daniel, good stuff, buddy. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Anytime.
All right, there you go. Joining on the Twisted Tea Hotline, presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. We will go over some of the other notable free agent re-signings and signings. We will do that coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Add more fun to your fandom with the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Download today. Get 50 back in bonus bets. You place your first wager at 10 or more. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. But let's push the NFL just for a second. I wanted to we talk a lot of golf on this show. I didn't get a chance to get this in the first segment.
Sure.
Do you think that – I mean, I think we know the answer.
We're very sad.
Yeah. I think it's it. This is it. That the news yesterday of Tiger Woods with the Achilles, I think – he was such joy for so much of us for so long. He wasn't a spoke on a wheel. He was the whole damn thing. And we just didn't want to say out loud that it's done in terms of him competing. But it's probably been done for a little bit. But another Achilles. He's had 6 back surgeries, 6 different back surgeries in the last decade. This is his second Achilles. He had the leg that was lucky he still has him after the car accident. Like, he's 49.
But he even had
sucks, but it's probably
at that U.S. Open that was even pre-accident where his leg was all broken already.
Oh, you mean like Rocco Media?
Yeah, the
like
Rocco Media one.
Yeah, right.
So he's had because
my gosh, yeah.
And then you see a guy like Fred Couples who supposedly has had a bad back forever, and he still has the same swing and plays, and his body is no worse for wear.
Yeah, no, I don't know. You wonder if it was just like the violence with which he swung early in his career.
Yeah, he was ripped. Like when you're finely tuned.
Yeah,
it's easier to break down. Yeah, thank goodness the magic of the unexpected Masters win.
Was that 18?
19, I thought.
19?
Yeah. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's what you're going to remember, that was a magical
That's
moment.
his 86 Masters.
Yes.
Jack in 86.
Yeah.
Jack was 46 when he did that.
46. How about it?
How about it?
How about it? We're just trying to get me to come back out of
just want you to play a little football
flag
again,
football
baby, for a little
you
bit.
guys out there winning the Masters.
No, it's his. I think he's the most consequential athlete to his sport of my life, and I don't really know what's second. I can't think in team sport. People, the natural thing would be to go to Jordan and say, well, Jordan was. Magic and Bird saved the NBA. The NBA was a thriving product by the time it was out of the 80s and into the early 90s. Jordan took it to another stratosphere globally, but that ascent was happening, and then you had the 92 Dream Team, and so that all of that was happening by the time Jordan jumped on that rocket. There isn't anybody else who took a sport that was a country club, white guys playing golf sport, and made it a ratings monster. I mean, everybody on the tour, everybody on Live ought to write him a thank you note every year, because without him, it's not what they would not have the riches that they had. Go look at the prize money before and after.
Yeah,
I mean, it went up tenfold.
The only one that popped into my head, and there are some parallels in terms of the peak, fall from grace. Although Tiger is certainly much more redemptive, I think, arc afterwards. Although I could be wrong about that. Is Lance Armstrong, because
that's a good one.
I knew nothing about cycling or Tour de France or any of it, other than I knew it existed.
Yeah.
But then Lance Armstrong, it was big, and like right now I couldn't tell you one person who has won the Tour de France in the last since Lance Armstrong.
That's probably a pretty good job out of you. That's
a fair job.
There are some one-off ones, like where there were guys like Usain Bolt or Michael Phelps that were like one-offs, but it was like once every 4 years.
Yeah,
you're right on the Tour de France certainly with Lance Armstrong. I do remember Greg LeMond was a winner a couple of times before that.
If you asked if I knew two names,
those would be the two. That's it. But in terms of something that's there consistently for us, the difference between when he's there and when he's not, and he is so linked to Ohio as well because he has 5 wins at the Memorial Tournament at Jack's Place. He's Firestone crushed it.
Whichever direction that is, we'll go that way.
Crushed it. Absolutely crushed it there. It mattered to him to win Arnold's tournament, to win Jack's tournament, Firestone. Like those events meant something to him, and he was unbelievable at those events. He truly was.
Yeah.
And so you kind of got to touch him a little bit too. And there's so many surreal scenes with him of the excellence. I'll never forget in the height of the mess of it, and he was trying to come back, and he was in his head with. People viewed him differently all of a sudden, and he had health issues and all this stuff that was kind of going on, and he was in dead last at the Memorial, and he played around by himself on a Sunday down at Jack's Place, and he played by himself and went around. He was the first one out, and there was a picture in the Columbus Dispatch of him walking down from the first tee box down towards the fairway by himself. And you think, like 5 years previous to this, he chips in on 16 in the final round in an impossible shot that you couldn't make if you tried 1,000 of them. You couldn't get it to go in, let alone you couldn't get it to stop, let alone go in.
Yeah.
That was all downhill.
Yeah.
And then so he hit that, and then he won it in 12. That was the year he won it. The last time he won it was 2012. And then here, a handful of years later, he's playing by himself in the final round at Jack's place. Like, it was such a crazy juxtaposition. But the crazy thing about it is he's approaching 50. I think he's 49, and he still is when he's at an event and when he's not, it's half the crowd.
Yep.
It really is.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
And he inspired a generation. All those guys, the Justin Thomases, all those guys, they were all inspired by him.
It has the potential, and I know that this rankles some people, but like the only person I think who ever could do that for is like what you're seeing, but this needs to go on for more than a decade, is Caitlin Clark, right?
I did that analogy last summer in Columbus in the morning, and that's exactly what I said. I said, I want to be abundantly clear. I'm not suggesting that she has his greatness in her. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. I don't know. But what I know for sure is she is a singular
needle mover.
That's it. By herself. And
everybody else can, by the way, they can all sit out, and that's fine.
Fine.
They could.
Yeah.
Their ratings are going to stay the same,
except
they're playing, unless they're playing Caitlin Clark.
Unless they're playing her. It's just that, and that's how it was with Tiger.
Yeah.
When Tiger was at an event, the box office was twofold. I mean, how many times did you cover Firestone, Gibbe?
A number of them.
He always was there.
One.
Were you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I would never even. I couldn't even see the hole.
Yeah. People don't realize that, because if you saw that on television, you were there. But if you saw it on television, they can open up those cameras to take in. It just sucks in all the light to make it look brighter than it is.
Yeah. When it's
but it was actually probably pitch dark there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember walking out, going, "Am I even walking the right way?"
Right.
Like,
right.
where is the lot at?
Yeah.
I mean, this goes back to, it's not going to make up for him not being there, but like, this is why Liv and the PGA got to get their act together.
Yeah.
And figure out what the hell's going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got to merge.
It'll never be what it was, and I think the generations, the Koepkas, the Johnsons, all those guys who kind of came up, Rory, who put fitness into their routine. That's all Tiger byproduct. That's all him.
That's what makes John Daly such a legend.
Oh yeah. And you mentioned Fred Couples or Faldo, all those guys. Go look at what they look like. They just look like dudes at a country club
Craig
winning
Stadler,
majors.
the Walrus.
A great walrus. Mark O'Meara. Peak athlete.
Nicky Price.
Yeah, there's a lot of those cats in those
I'd say
times.
Gary Player was maybe the first.
He was probably he was somebody
fitness.
into fitness. Yeah.
Lee Trevino.
Yeah. He was not much of a follower though, because I didn't see many people following his
All
lead
black.
on that.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
he was not. He did not.
No.
No, they're smoking heaters on the
Right,
courses
yeah.
they're walking down
Totally
the middle
different.
John Daly.
I think the Tiger Jack thing's always interesting. I think his greatness is the greatest we've ever seen.
Tigers.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the competition was better.
And the idea that he has the overwhelming argument was that at the one point when he had the record at every major for lowest score and margin of victory at every one. That's nuts.
Because margin
I think
of victory
Rory
is relative to your peers.
Of course. So that's so he lapped his field. Now people on the Jack side will say, well, yeah, but he didn't have to play against Arnold Palmer and Lee Trevino and Gary Player, and
These
he
guys
didn't
are
have to
all
play
been
against
groomed to play since they were kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's a totally different
sport.
Yeah, the equipment's different. All of it.
Yeah, and I would argue that, and I think Tiger would argue this too, that in the old days the equipment was such that the greater talent would surpass.
It's separated.
It
was
separated
a big separator.
more.
Now it's an equalizer.
Now it's anybody can hit a 300-yard drive now.
Well,
not everybody, but anybody on that tour can.
Maybe not Corey Pavin back in the day.
Big stick core.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get you updated on where we are in NFL free agency. Second hour of the program coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Hey, Browns fans, this month's winner of the local business platform presented by Minuteman is Square 22, locally owned and operated. Square 22 Restaurant and Bar brings a unique dining experience to the center of Strongsville. Check them out today. It's the perfect spot for casual meals, date nights, private dining, happy hour alike. To learn more about the local business platform, visit browns.com/community/local business platform. We do have a couple of things just happened in the last couple of minutes. Gibbe, what's your free agent tracker telling you?
Marcus Mariota is off the table. Back to Washington on a 1-year reported $8 million contract.
Pricey.
To back him up.
Yeah.
By the way, have you noticed on X now they have this new thing where like the stories like slide in?
No.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Maybe that's why it crashed the other day.
Yeah, that's interesting. No, I don't. Mine's not doing that.
Why is it doing that?
Yeah, that's odd.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, Marcus Mariota. Okay, so he went back to Washington. Great. They have a quarterback on a rookie deal. They can pay a little more for a backup, knows their system. That makes sense. I don't see really.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's the thing when I asked Daniel that, what is. We got to get somebody we feel like we can start. Listen, Kenny Pickett, it's 15-10 as a starter. I mean, to me, there isn't a single person out there that you would say, take Aaron Rodgers out of it, but that you'd be like, okay, like he's for sure going to do better than Kenny Pickett would. I don't know.
No, I think what Pickett, Fields.
At least Kenny Pickett has a chance to be. So like
that's it.
I'd rather.
You used the phrase yesterday. It's a good one. It gives you a bite at the apple. Maybe it's like I said yesterday when we were comparing to like the Jerry Jeudy thing. No, but who knows? But it's one of those things where there was an evaluation of him coming out of college that said he was a first-round pick. The Pittsburgh Steelers agreed with that. They took him in the first round. Is there more there?
He won
right?
3 out of every 5 games he played.
It's the Sam Darnold attempt.
Yeah.
That what's happened there. It's Baker, the attempt there.
Yeah.
Sometimes you hit on him. Sometimes you don't. We had Josh Rosen in here. It didn't work. We've had other guys in here who were high RG3. It didn't work. But sometimes it does. And so I think what you're trying to do with like the Pickett deal, I think that's probably what Daniel Jones would have been, like a former first-round pick. Jones actually was much more accomplished, but in terms of Pickett, in terms of what he had done already in the league. But a situation with Daniel Jones was like, this is a first-round pick in the right system with stability. What does this look like?
Yep.
That's what that gives you. That's what the Jets are clinging to with Fields.
Yeah, right. That this
guy's fun. He can win. He was evaluated highly. Maybe he's a solution, and that's what you're looking for.
But I'm just at the point now with the names that are left, like what name out there are you like, okay, yeah, that changes
nothing.
That changes everything.
Nothing. Nobody out there changes everything. Flacco would be the most fun because we know him, and there was the magic of that December, which we'll always have. It would be kind of like, boy, that was such a sweet memory.
Totally.
Like reliving that is just impossible. It feels like that for an extended period of time.
Sure.
But he's such a good dude, and he's just great to have around.
Yes.
It's when he came in here, it was like, oh, this is franchise quarterback. This is what it feels like. Like he was just a dude. So I think that's part of it. Russ would probably have some of that, as this guy was a Super Bowl champion, that type of stuff. I don't know anybody who's been around him, whether it's in Seattle or in. Actually, Tyvus was on the team in Seattle. I wonder what he always spoke highly of Russ. He said Russ was really good to him. I think Russ even took him to Thanksgiving, if I remember right, when he first got there.
For sure.
But that doesn't change who you are as a football. It doesn't change like, oh my gosh, now let's go track down the Ravens.
Well, correct. And my whole point is with the Kenny Pickett thing is, and we certainly said it on this show, right? Like Russ has to be better than Kenny Pickett so that they'll be more successful. Kenny Pickett in his last year as a starter was 7-5.
Yeah.
I don't know what Russ was there, but I'll pull it up right now. My guess is he was 6-5. I mean, so like,
yeah.
He threw more touchdowns, fewer interceptions, but nonetheless, it wasn't a needle mover in any way, shape, or form for them. So to me, you're saying, okay, trying to be like the most positive you could be about Kenny Pickett, because right now he's only quarterback on our roster. So we'll talk about him. It was widely agreed that the offensive coaching that was happening in Pittsburgh prior to the switch to Arthur Smith, which was just last year, was the worst in the league. Matt Canada was besieged.
Yep.
He was under siege constantly for the offense he ran. So maybe with a better offense, and you're talking, Kevin Stefanski, Tommy Rees, that Kenny Pickett can be a better version of what he was there. By the way, 7-5, Russ was 6-5. Mm-hmm. So that one, again, you'll say, okay, well, he's been in the league, he's been successful, blah, 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 blah. Former, multiple-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl MVP. All of those things are true about Russell Wilson. It just feels like he was a Pro Bowler last year, as a matter of fact. It feels far removed from him moving the needle. He'll be on his third team, in 4 years, third team in 3 years, and his fourth team in 5 years. We're looking for solutions. And again, I am not at all saying that Kenny Pickett is automatically that solution, but if it's that or that, I'd much rather just be like, okay. And by the way, I still hope we're drafting 1 at 2, and that's the solution. But if we're talking about right now what's known, Kenny Pickett versus the names that are out there, I'd might as well just go. Let's just play Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. Furthermore, I would be open to adding Trey Lance to the room. He was in a similar system, and he's only 24. I know it was bad.
Yeah,
it was bad, but I mean,
sure,
it was somebody who the ball of clay.
I'm just saying, when Dak went down, they were just like, we don't even want to see you.
We don't want to see him.
We'd rather play Cooper Rush.
I know. But what you're looking for is hope.
For sure.
And
Kenny Pickett's at least won in this league.
He's won. Yeah, he's won.
He's never had a losing record.
That's kind of the spot you're in right now.
But I'd much rather see him than, honestly, Aaron Rodgers. Of course, you could convince me, like, okay, it's Aaron Rodgers. And, we heard, what was that, Bob Wischusen was on here, or I don't remember who was talking about the Jets at that time.
Yeah.
But had said that, he still thinks he has it. Like, okay. That's Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Otherwise, why not? To me, like, why not? Why not?
Yeah. That's where we're at.
That's where we're at. Yeah.
Yeah. It does seem that I am a little surprised that I guess I shouldn't be, because I see the reporting today that Rodgers is holding the Steelers captive a little bit. They're kind of like waiting.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned that. That feels like the one. Like, once that happens, then Russ goes to the New York Giants, but that doesn't preclude the Giants from taking a quarterback at 3 or trying to trade up to 1 if Tennessee is open to it.
Right.
At all.
No, not one bit.
No. But that's it. That's who's available. Rodgers, Winston, Wilson, Mariota, Trey Lance, Drew Lock, Carson Wentz, Joe Flacco. That is where you are on the quarterback carousel. Some re-signings and movement from yesterday. DeAndre Hopkins reportedly signed a 1-year deal with the Baltimore Ravens. The Bills and Joey Bosa have agreed on a 1-year contract worth $12.6 million. There was rumor that he was going to go to San Francisco and play with his brother, that was maybe the case. Nope.
Oh, Pedro's not happy with the Niners at all right now. Not at all. Not a little bit. Said that was a slap in the face that they didn't get Bosa.
That they didn't get him?
Took that very personally.
Why would he take that person? Why slapped to
He's
whose face?
saying that's like
they wouldn't take care of Nick.
They rejected
the Bosas.
Joey rejects the 49ers is how my dad's reading it.
I would imagine that the 49ers had a number that they offered that was significantly less than the number that the Bills offered.
Supposedly they did not. I think per Mike Silver, I think I saw they were not above $10 million a year. So,
okay,
that's just math.
Money works.
Money talks.
So he goes to Buffalo. The Bills reportedly signing our old buddy Larry Ogunjobi as well. 1 year, $8.3 there. The Chiefs have restructured the contracts of Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones. That creates over $50 million, or just add $50 million of cap space. Justin Reed, I've always liked him, reportedly agreed on a 3-year contract with the Saints as well. They also kept Tyrann Mathieu around. So those are the safeties. Weren't those the starting safeties for the Chiefs' first Super Bowl? Justin Reed and Tyrann Mathieu? Don't I have that right?
Feels right.
Has Reed been around that long?
Yeah, Reed's been
he's been there a while.
For sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Leonard Floyd reportedly agreed to deal with the Atlanta Falcons 1 year for 10, and then DeMar Hamlin will
Leonard Floyd
to
the Falcons. I
Buffalo
like that move.
On a 1-year extension. Also, Cooper Kupp officially released.
I was going to say, where does he end up?
Well, I saw from Orlovsky, he was like Patriots, Seahawks. There's one more out there. Yeah, like he'd be, but do you want to, if you're him, Tennessee. What the heck would he want to go to Tennessee for? I don't think you want to do that. But, Seattle would make sense with Darnold. with him and Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's a Washington State kid, I think.
Yeah.
It's a nice little grouping.
Yeah. So that would be kind of a return there.
Safeties were actually on that team. The safeties that year were Honey Badger in the year 2019.
Thornhill?
And Juan Thornhill.
When did Reed come in? He wasn't on the team yet? I feel like those two definitely
Reed,
played
I think,
together.
wasn't he on another team before? He's been in the league since
Eastern
18.
Washington, by the way, for
Yeah,
Cup
he was a Texan.
from the G-Man.
So he came to them in 22.
Oh, okay. So
22.
okay.
He was a Texan.
Oh, maybe
And he
him and
can
Honey
pick off.
Badger played together in Houston.
Is that possible? Let's see. So he was in Houston, and then he has been there. 2018, they would have played together in that first year. Come on. In Houston.
Come on.
Hey.
Steel Trap. Let's go.
Steel Trap. That's a good. That's a
both
good. Both
Louisiana guys too. That's going home for both. Matthew's obviously been there, but both those guys going home now.
Yeah, 2018. Rita was a rookie that year. Started 12 games, picked off 3 passes, 10 passes defensed. Played very well. 88 tackles.
He went to Stanford.
Justin Reed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
From Dutchtown, Louisiana.
Dutchtown High School. Yeah. How about that?
His brother is Eric Reed, who played, was a first-round pick of the Niners back in 2013, the big safety out of LSU.
Out of LSU.
Yeah, it was had a very nice pro career.
Yeah. There you go. So that's where we stand.
I didn't know they were related. Did you?
No.
That's a pretty
good. Pretty good brothers. Pretty
Yeah,
good
pretty good.
brotherly tandem there.
Yeah.
All right, coming up at the bottom of the hour, Benjamin Albright will join us. We'll get his perspective on what he's seen so far around the league. You have that to look forward to, which is nice. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. It's presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. For the first time ever, witness Inter Miami take on the Columbus Crew at Huntington Bank Field on April 19th. Secure your spot to see some of the MLS's biggest stars. Visit huntingtonbankfield.com/crew versus Miami to get your tickets today. March Madness is here. Gibby, you're not going to be in town for the MAC tournament.
I know. I'm bummed about it. My alma mater, I think, plays Akron tomorrow. I mean, it might be over 5 minutes in, unless Eddie George comes out and plays for him.
Well, he probably still could. He looks
question.
pretty good. John Gross got it humming at Akron. Former Buckeye assistant, Illinois head coach, Ohio head coach as well.
But like this is the whole thing. I get it. As a MAC coach, you do well, and you have opportunities to go and move up the food chain.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know many opportunities that end well. And then when you come back, it's just, I mean, Gary Waters.
You have to.
There have been a number of coaches. Who was the coach? Stan Heath.
Yeah.
But
he got a couple of jobs, right? Stan?
Correct.
He got paid.
Who was the guy at OU that was at Kent? And was Gino Ford? Yeah. Gino Ford.
Here's what you got to do. When you're in that spot, and you see it a lot in college football too, when you're in that spot and you're in the ascending place, you have to make, especially if it's solid, you have to make sure that the next spot is solid. And or you make sure that you get compensated. That's the deal. John Gross's entire I can do 2 minutes on this real quickly. John Gross's entire career at Illinois came down to, in my view, and I think a lot of people on college ball, it came down to one signing. He was in his early time at Illinois. There was a Chicago high school kid who was a 5-star player who had a ton of talent, and I'll get to the name I can't remember the name off the top of my head. My guess is it'll come to me. But this was in his first year. We were actually over there for Ohio State, Illinois football. I was over there in Champaign covering that. And it was the signing of this kid, the Chicago schoolboy legend 5-star. It was between Illinois and Kansas. And the kid chose Kansas and kind of humiliated Illinois while choosing Kansas. And it felt like John Gross could not get a recruiting win from that point forward. And that's how critical momentum is. Now, John got paid very handsomely to take the Illinois job because he wanted Ohio. They went to a Sweet 16. Yep. He was a Thad Matta disciple. And John's a great guy. Awesome.
Yes.
But, that did him in at Illinois, and then that started to peter out, and then he landed back in the MAC at Akron. But he got the money all cashed. So,
that's right.
He got that part of it.
And don't get me wrong, I'm happy these guys are back because it just lends credibility to this conference, which, again, I think if the priority was more basketball than football, but I know football is king. But from a basketball standpoint, there was a time where this conference was automatically getting 2 bids every year. And the fact that doesn't happen anymore, and it doesn't happen for many mid-majors, is very disappointing. But that's the state of college hoops.
The kid's name was Cliff Alexander.
I remember.
He picked up an Illinois hat and then threw it down and then put on the Kansas hat.
Yeah.
And he was the best Illinois prospect since Eric Gordon, and that's what happened. But it's one of those things with momentum. So, that's like John Diebler right now. He's got Marcus Johnson, the Garfield Heights kid. He's got him. But, Michi's been AWOL since December. Nothing. Nobody knows anything. Nobody knows what happened, where he is, nothing. Everyone's quiet on it. Nothing from Meach, nothing.
Really?
He's been away since December. And they paid him handsomely to be on the team, and he's gone. Beat writers don't know. Nothing. It's crazy.
How does no one know?
Well, I think people know, but nobody wants to talk about it. Yeah. But what I was getting to with Diebler and how critical any sort of run would be, they play tonight against Iowa on Peacock, not Big Ten Network.
Well, that's on this.
That's what the money's for. NBC needed something to prop up their app. And so they said, well, your games are going to go on Peacock. But so there's been a ton of these that have been on Peacock.
This is the conference shooting themselves in the foot. That's why I put it in the rundown. Mm-hmm. Go back to NFL Network and giving up Thursday Night Football. You're getting rid of your most valuable commodity, and I understand that there's a payday on it, but you are able to make money if you're selling it right and doing it right. Big Ten Network, you're the home of the Big Ten, And I can't watch any Big Ten tournament games today because it's on Peacock.
It's a pretty wild thing, but they basically threw men's basketball in the Big Ten was a throw-in.
Yeah.
And so in order to get the payday for NBC primetime football, Big Ten, this was part of the agreement.
Like, what's on Big Ten Network today?
I have no idea. Probably volleyball, lacrosse.
Maybe the women's tournament?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
No, the women's tournament was last weekend. It's done.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's done.
It's just mystifying to me. Like, what are you airing? Yeah. Iowa, Ohio State. I tune in tonight.
Yeah.
Kind of a must-win game for the Buckeyes.
Oh, that is for sure. They lose. They're the last team in on the bubble.
I don't want to talk about them. Come on.
We need them to go on a little run.
Oh, they blew it for us as big as can be.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, we could have been a run would have.
By
put
the
us
way,
into the
that would have gotten you your Friday.
That would have got us
That's what I'm
today,
saying.
Thursday, and Friday.
That's what I'm saying.
If they had a little run.
This is what I'm saying.
Jeez. They led the whole way. But it's critical for him because you've got the guys that I mentioned, Marcus Johnson, those guys. There's the Jerry Easter kid who's out of Toledo who's playing prep ball somewhere. There's a kid at Western Reserve who's a top 10 player in the country. He was a guy, Mark Pope was visiting last. We got them playing 3-on-3 basketball. Mark Pope was in the hallway, the front. I'm like, oh, that's an attention getter. Kentucky head coach in Hudson walking around town. But that's why, because of the kid at Western Reserve. So that's the momentum that can happen here. And goes back to your comment about the MAC guys who go. You can go, but you may only get one shot at it.
Yeah.
So you got to hit on that spot. By the way, the two guys who preceded Diebler at Ohio State, Thad Matta, who is an absolute legend, great dude. It's been a struggle at Butler.
Yeah, we were there, bro.
You guys went there?
Yeah. They played him tough that night. They played the same.
Yeah, but
I mean, that's another losing season.
Yeah,
I believe for them.
I think he had a winning season year one and then 2 straight losing seasons for him at Butler.
They don't have any talent, and they have a kid on their team that's annoying.
Do they? Just a selfish kind of guy?
Oh,
everything about him was like I would have cut him
huge
easily
guy.
into that game.
Oh, really? Me.
He's like related.
And you were playing Patino, right?
He's related to one of the coaches.
Wasn't that the St. John's?
Yeah, they played St. John's.
Yeah.
But he's like
did St. John's look like a squad? Not really.
They
not
got
like
some
what we're
players.
used to.
College basketball. Let me tell you something.
Well, his guy Cooper Kupp's a dude.
Cooper Flag.
Cooper Kupp's on my mind because he got cut.
He's a
He's
dude
Triple
too.
Crown
Cooper
winner.
Flag is a dude. Yeah.
The teams, and this is like a total, and I realize the rules are different and all that, and this is a total get off my lawn, like, oh, my day. But it's true. Like,
It's
the
not
teams
close.
of the 90s would smoke these teams. Like, St. John's is number 7 in the country.
Yeah.
It would be like they were a 15 seed going against like those Duke, Kentucky, UNLV, Arizona teams.
Yeah.
They would annihilate these teams. Those were teams.
Well, yeah, they were veterans.
Nobody can
Pros.
score the basketball, which is I don't understand. Everybody's in the Steph Curry generation. Nobody can score the basketball or shoot the basketball, at least in the games that we've watched.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it doesn't look the same.
No.
No, it's not. So
You're talking about teams that would send their entire starting lineups to the NBA. And it sometimes even like guys off their bench.
Oh yeah, I mean you'd have 5. I mean, like I want to say that UNLV team had 5 first-round picks on it with Ogman and Larry
Grandmama,
Johnson,
Anderson Hunt,
Greg
Anthony,
Anthony, Anderson Hunt.
Eccles was the center.
The who's the
I
other?
don't know if
guy
he was
I'm
a
missing?
first rounder, but
Yeah, but they had a bunch of them.
Grant Hill and Leitner,
Yeah, tons.
Hurley.
Yeah, some of those.
Was it Thomas
some of those
Davis,
Kentucky
Brian
teams
Davis,
through the mid
some
'90s
Davis?
were nuts too.
Thomas Hill, Brian Davis,
Thomas Hill, Brian Davis.
Yeah, a lot of talent.
Antonio Lang.
And there were teams.
Yeah, and you got to know them over years. I mean, you talk to guys in that sport now, and it's like it's a 1-year proposition. Like the team that people say, oh well, Ohio State will bring back Bruce Thornton and John Mobley, and they'll bring back Devin Royal, and they'll add these guys. Well, you don't know that. You don't know that.
Have you watched? Okay, so I'll give you a little homework assignment. If you did not watch Danny Hurley on 60 Minutes last weekend,
Yeah, I did see the clip.
go watch the
it's
whole
all good.
thing. Number one, he's a lunatic.
Yeah,
Number two, like he said it. He goes, right now I can tell you half of my team's entertaining offers to leave at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, they're
Yeah,
getting
that's
phone calls daily.
yeah.
He goes, I'm going to lose half of my roster.
people who aren't in it every day like I am, that pay really close attention to what's going on in college athletics and has been the last 5 years, they are blown away by stuff like that. That the reality of where the sport is. It's nuts.
Like open
open
recruiting season. And open while the season.
It would be like if we could go to Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City and say, Patrick, can we entice you with $500 million guaranteed? And he was like, yeah, I think so. I'll be there next week.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I'll play
That's
this
what's
out,
happening.
But yeah.
That's what's happening in college basketball and football. That's what happened with Jeremiah Smith after Ohio State won the national title.
Like a week after.
Oh, yeah. Jeremiah, do you want $5 million to come play at Florida?
It's wild.
He's making $4 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, we can make it more. And he's going to get another bite at that apple.
Yeah, he is.
He could do that again after his sophomore year. So that's what's happening. Imagine for a second NFL teams being able to call Patrick Mahomes and saying,
We'll pay you more.
We'll pay you more. Come here.
Yeah.
And if he was on a year, not even a 1 year, not even a contract, because in the middle of a season they can leave. They just bounce.
See ya.
I'll see you on down the road, man.
Down the road, yeah.
There's a safety at Wisconsin who they would not release, who just left school and enrolled at the University of Miami because there was an NIL disagreement over what him not living up to his end of the bargain in NIL. So he just left the University of Wisconsin, went to Miami. He's going to play football for Miami now. No consequence. That's where we're at. Ben Albright on NFL free agency, what he's hearing coming up next. Listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, let's get smarter, kids. We head out on the Twisted Tea Hotline presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. It is the NFL Insider. He is a Broncos reporter at KOA in Denver. Hosts a show out there as well. He's our great friend, Benjamin Albright, and he joins us there. Benjamin, thank you so much for taking the time. If you were a couple of days into this new league year and an hour and a half, what has been kind of the theme that has been caught your attention most about what happened so far in free agency?
Well, I think teams were put off by both the free agent market and by this coming draft and spent a lot of effort and capital maybe securing their own guys in situations where they might have explored the market a little bit more.
Are you surprised by kind of the quarterback situation and the fact that we all thought, at least we did going into this, that Aaron Rodgers was going to be the first domino to fall? He's still out there. Obviously, the first domino was Sam Darnold. What do you kind of make of Aaron Rodgers' decision and where he ends up?
Well, yeah, that domino in and of itself, I think, is limited to just a pair of teams. And, you know, it does create some down trades for a couple other players, a couple of the teams. But, you know, that's really a Pittsburgh or New York Giants situation at this point. And I think the lean is Pittsburgh. We'll see how that works out. But you know, it changes things for potentially Russell Wilson, you know, who would likely be the Giants' backup plan as they try to do that and try to trade to one. The Tennessee Titans, who have sort of tried to quietly inquire about Russell Wilson as a bridge guy as well. You know, we'll see how all that works out. And then, of course, waiting in the wings, you've got the Kirk Cousins release from Atlanta that while they're playing hardball right now, saying they're not going to do it, I think everybody expects them to do it eventually.
So everybody keeps saying that with Cousins, but obviously they're paying him anyway. If they're a team is he that much of a malcontent? Are they worried that he will be just negative on Penix? Or is it just doing a guy a solid who they did a solid by giving him a bunch of money? Explain to us how the Cousins thing could happen and how it makes sense from Atlanta's perspective.
Well, I mean, I don't know that he's that much of a malcontent. Certainly belongs in the Business Hall of Fame in terms of getting the bag. But to me, it's like a respect thing to players. You don't hold players hostage. The last thing you want to do is become a team that gets that reputation, because then free agents aren't going to take a chance on you anyway. They'll go other places, especially if you've got a bad reputation for holding guys hostage, not letting them finish out their careers or whatever else. Atlanta got themselves into this mess by paying all that money to Kirk Cousins without having full medicals to begin with, and that's their own fault. And they had to pivot to Penix, and we saw what happened during the season and everything else. So, you know, I mean, Atlanta got themselves into this mess. I don't think they have. I mean, yeah, they've got a player under contract, and they could do that, but what do they gain by that? What do you gain by keeping Kirk Cousins there in that role where, you know, he obviously doesn't want to be? So I think it's just bad juju for the Falcons to even entertain that.
It's so interesting because I totally understand the point that you're making. At the same time, like if somebody was paying me $40 million, I don't think that I would consider myself a hostage of theirs. I think I'd be quite I would be quite content actually, especially if it was to play football. So that's one of the dominoes out there. Let's talk about the Browns. Kenny Pickett trade. I don't think anybody's saying that move was made to be the future, but what do you think, you know, of what the Browns, how do you expect this to play out for this franchise at the quarterback position?
Well, look, no football throws a better quarterback than Kenny Pickett. And if you've seen that play, you know what I'm talking about. But Kenny Pickett adds to the room, and he does add to the room. But that's not the only swipes that the Browns are going to do. They're going to be taking another swipe here. So, you know, we'll see. There's again the Cousins thing out there. I initially didn't think that they would, but you know, if he comes free, they would very much be in that. There are some other, you know, quarterbacks out there to add to the mix for competition that could provide competition there as well. They're not done swinging. I don't know, you know, you and I talked a little bit at the combine, talked about the draft. I still don't 100% believe that that's the direction they're going there, and I think there's sort of a reality that Cam Ward is going to go number one, whether that's the Titans or Giants. And so I think they sort of know that, and I'm not sure Shedor's their guy. So. You know, we'll have to see on that. You know, been wrong before, I'll be wrong again, but I just don't get the pulse that's the direction they would go there. So I think they're looking for a veteran guy with upside, and then, you know, potentially hitting the draft next year where you've got quite a few more options.
Just to update folks, Charles Robinson reporting this. We've had Charles on before. Ben, I know you know him as well. I thought the Falcons were bluffing about keeping Kirk Cousins. I don't think that anymore. They're going to roll right through Sunday's deadline to knock in another $10 million in 2026 guaranteed salary and see where this goes. Either he's a pricey backup or a trade candidate, Dr. Z.
Yeah, that's them posturing. I mean, they have to pay the money either way. So the reality there is that doesn't actually affect anything. That's just them posturing on trying to get a trade for him, which nobody's going to do,
right?
Instead of having to outright release him later.
And they're going to part of me just thinks that if I'm the owner and I'm saying we're paying him this money,
yeah,
I'd like him to at least be here in the event that Michael Penix, who has an injury history, gets hurt. But back to what you're saying about Cam Ward, and I think when we were at the Combine together, you certainly thought it was very possible that the Giants would go from 3-1 to get Cam Ward, or maybe even Shedeur Sanders at the time. Now it sounds like you're thinking Cam Ward goes number 1 no matter what. So two things. One, do you think it's more likely now that the Titans take a quarterback at 1 and just stay there? And two, do you think if they're not taking a quarterback at 1, would the Browns be a team that would go to 1?
Well, I mean, I think that, or I know that they and the Giants have had discussions about 3-1, and that was certainly something that the Giants felt that they were very, very in the ballpark on. The wrench in the works here would be if the Browns weren't taking Shedeur, and that would sort of throw a wrench in those plans, because if the Titans go back to 3, obviously they love Abdul Carter, they'd love to land Abdul Carter, and then if you're worried that the Browns aren't taking Shedeur, well, then all of a sudden they could be the team there that takes Carter. Your drop back to 3 could be a bad move, and now you have to stay at 1, that kind of stuff. So I still believe that trade. I believe that trade is going to happen. I hate putting percentages on it because that's arbitrary, but I do believe that trade is going to happen. I do believe the Giants are going to go up there. I think they're going to wind up with Russell Wilson. I think they're going to lose out on Aaron Rodgers. I think they're going to wind up with Russell Wilson and trade up to 1 for Cam Ward.
All right, Ben, wanted to ask you about, you mentioned Shedeur, and when we had you on at the Combine, you were in the airport, I believe, and so we were having a conversation with you as you were kind of matriculating through the airport. Heading into the Combine, there was you looked at the rankings of everybody and the quarterbacks, and Mel had them 3 and 4, other people had them, but they were relatively close between Cam and Shedeur. And I think even going into the Combine, Cam was the guy that most viewed ahead of Shedeur, but it wasn't like the difference between a first rounder and a third rounder. Shedeur's done nothing physically since playing his last game at Colorado. So what is causing this around him? You were in the vicinity of him in Denver versus Boulder. What can you tell us about your belief as to why there is such a level of, well, now he's not even now he's not a first round pick at all? Like, where's this all coming from?
Well, I mean, first of all, I don't necessarily believe he's not a first-round pick, but I'll say this. I think that it's not that Shedeur changes. It's that public perception changes, right? Our perspective changes as we get more information. And so I think as more and more people get more information from people they trust as sources, they tend to lower him. That collective thing starts to lower, and our perspective changes on where it is that he's going to go. Obviously, he hasn't played, so that doesn't change anything. His resume hasn't changed. So in that particular case, if someone's on the move, it's one of two things: either their resume changed or our perspective changed. And in this particular case, it's obviously our perspectives.
When we were there at the Combine and we were talking, you had mentioned how the Giants were in Boulder constantly. Do you think that is there maybe some smoke that maybe they do like Shedeur, but they're trying to play it the other way? Some teams are doing that, or do you think things have changed so much? It just seems odd in how the timing of things changes. And I definitely understand what you're saying. People get to the Combine, they get the temperature from quarterback coaches and offensive coordinators and insiders around the league, and that changes how you actually then would go back into your ratings, which are based typically on the tape without all that information. What do you make of the Giants? Because I know when we were there, you thought for a while that the Giants were very much in on Shedeur. Has something changed in that regard?
I mean, unless they're throwing a smokescreen here, they were out here at every game. So that is one of those things that's sort of a mystery, where they lavished praise on Shedeur every time we talked to when they were out here. They didn't seem to indicate, wasn't seeming to indicate interest in Travis. So, that seemed to lead us all to believe that they very much love Shedeur Sanders. I don't know that anything has changed. Maybe that was a smokescreen. Maybe they knew they were going to be, in that mix and were trying to throw things up. I don't know the answer to that. I just know that people I've talked to, recently is at the combine there having some dinners, and then talked to recently really feels like they're going to one for Cam Ward, and so that maybe that's the smokescreen, but because of everybody knowing about how much they came out and looked at Shedeur, but I don't know the answer to that. I'd be speculating, but it is certainly interesting that there's sort of a shift there.
All right, one thing that Browns fans are really focused on, and they hope would be received as very, very good news, is about Nick Chubb. Have you heard anything about Nick Chubb's free agency thus far, or where he might end up?
I have not. The only thing I know is that there were a couple of teams that maybe initially might have had some interest that maybe don't. I think his market's going to be softer than people think. I don't know if that means a return to Cleveland or not, or anything like that. But his market, in terms of what I think he expected it to be, is allegedly softer than what he had anticipated.
All right, there you go. Good stuff as always, buddy.
Yeah,
Appreciate your time.
Absolutely, guys. Take care.
All right, there he goes. Benjamin Albright, NFL Insider, Broncos reporter at KOA in Denver on the Twisted Tea Hotline, presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. Charles Robinson, I don't know him as someone who teams use to manipulate.
No,
that's not his act. So when he's reporting something, I don't believe that that's a team saying, hey, will you put this out? That's not his style. So he doubled down on his previous report, just to catch you up on it if you missed it when this broke in the last 10 minutes. He wrote, I thought the Falcons were bluffing about keeping Kirk Cousins. I don't think that anymore. They're going to roll right through the Sunday deadline to lock in another $10 million in 2026 guaranteed salary. See where this goes. Either he's a pricey backup or a trade candidate. Well, he doubled down. This is definitely going to squeeze some teams a little with the quarterback market. Unless some rookies are going to start day one, there will not be enough veteran 2024 starters to go around as bridge options anymore, which is likely why the Falcons are going to hold on to Cousins as an asset. Again, you guys have talked to Charles more than I have, but in my experience on this show and others dealing with him, I think I have the right read. He's not somebody that puts stuff out there for an owner or an agent. He puts stuff out there that he believes. And
agreed, and that's also how Adam Schefter does it. And my thing, the interesting thing to me about the timing with the Adam Schefter thing is what could possibly have changed from the combine where he was adamant we were taking quarterback at 2 till now, other than we got Kenny Pickett. That
ain't it. Yeah.
So was it? Sometimes I think maybe was that he had proper information at the beginning, and they're like, "Hey, man, like that wasn't cool that you said that."
Maybe. Or maybe
I don't know.
He thought that we were in on something else with quarterbacks that didn't come to fruition. Our name was not out there on any of these guys. I have not seen us linked to a single quarterback. Now, to be fair, we weren't linked to Kenny Pickett until we acquired Kenny Pickett.
Correct.
So there's that. But you hear these other teams linked. We are not.
Correct.
But for all of this talk about, and you and I have been pretty consistent about this with the Cousins stuff, was like, geez, you're Arthur Blank. And you paid this guy, and you got a team in a division that you feel you can compete with. You're going with a second-year quarterback who's started a handful of games, who has had significant injury historically. Why you're paying Cousins anyway? Why wouldn't I keep him around?
That's my logic.
I know.
Then to be like it's bad juju to hold a guy hostage
for $40 million.
$40 million. He's not being held hostage. He's been given $40 million to play, and they could need him. I mean, Penix has gotten hurt in his career. That to me that's a very wild things. That's a very wild thing.
Do you think that we will have another quarterback in this room by the weekend?
I don't know.
Yeah. It's hard to say.
The reality of the situation is, and I'm, again, you'll always look for the positives in whatever, whoever ultimately becomes. But if there was somebody out there that was a panacea, they'd either be here or somewhere else already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it's the reality. Could they become, now Kenny Pickett is more likely to become something like that than any of the guys that are out there. Because the guys that are out there still, at this point, Carson Wentz is a little long in the tooth to be kind of a reclamate. He's had multiple reclamation attempts. Now, maybe he I have no idea. As we said, 27 touchdowns, 7 picks
Geno
that year.
Smith was one that was off the grid and then
that was a while ago.
It was.
Minshew, Flacco is, gosh, we loved him. It was magical, but
So
at some
fun.
point it may have just been magic in that bubble. I mean, he did. Russ, Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers is the one that probably still feels like the most talented to me, but there's a lot that comes with that too.
Yeah.
And he unfortunately has not moved the needle. Did not for the Jets.
No.
I mean, we all thought.
Oh, I mean, I think I picked him to win the division.
They had to be Super Bowl
the
contenders
year
last year.
The year before the injury, the year going into it, when they had acquired him,
100%.
Like, who knows what happens if he doesn't tear his Achilles right away? Like, because they were set up. That's a great roster. They were so chesty. I mean, they were on Hard Knocks. Like, it was, come watch us. They had everything that you wanted. You remember him apologizing to Garrett Wilson? Sorry, kid.
Yeah.
Like, that's what flipped with the shredding of that Achilles. All right, so much more to come. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. Pat on the X, what about trading for Malik Willis? Malik looked good last year for Green Bay.
To
that's
me,
another
that's
one of
another-
those bite of an apple hope things.
Yeah, him. It's a kid that I remember we had him here for a 30 visit. Joe Milton.
Yeah. Michigan kid who went to Tennessee and then
Was with
in
New England.
Yeah.
And again, people are like, he was so good. And the Bills were not trying to win that game. That was not the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, Joe Milton.
But nonetheless.
His issues were accuracy.
Yep.
Huge hose, but it was accuracy stuff that He does, man. Have you seen him?
He can really
when he
sling the
unfurls
bill.
that sucker, it goes.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Length of the
when
field,
he lets
man.
it fly.
He can throw like 80 yards. What do you
Yes.
want? It's a big hose.
Cannon.
But underneath, the accuracy stuff was the trouble. That was trouble at Michigan. That was trouble at Tennessee
Yeah.
for him. So, but he did look good. Did look good there. So
1 minute.
yeah, those are the guys. Is you're looking for hope, you're looking for bites at the apple, and you need as many bites as you can get at it. Because as we went through yesterday, it's pretty simple on how to acquire a quarterback. They better have been a first-round pick.
Yes.
A few outliers out there, but not many. All right, there you go. That'll do it. Next Level's coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.